Hi, good morning guys. So welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to have a look at a recent modification I've had done, which is a nice little custom modification. The modification in question is my exhaust system, and in particular the tips. So for those of you that have watched previous videos, you'll be aware of the fact that I run a Komotec exhaust system, and that exhaust system was fitted with the carbon tips. Now the system from a performance standpoint I was always very happy with, and the acoustics of the system were absolutely awesome, sounded brilliant, valve system worked seamlessly with the integrated car switch, and was really happy. But I was never quite happy with the exhaust tips, so I started to looking into ways that I could change that, and came up with a plan that I would effectively just have the old tips removed and some new tips welded on. So yesterday I went to HPE Automotive and saw Dan there. As always, very happy to recommend Dan. Very good at his job, and is just very innovative in the way that he's able to adapt and come up with ideas for solutions for any sort of like crazy propositions Lotus modifiers come up with. So let's go and have a look at the results. So I'm very happy with the results, I'll let you know that right now. And as you can see now, I have some nice fat carbon fibre 103mm or thereabouts tips on my car. Now, it wasn't an exactly straightforward job, but I'll let you know how it was done, so that those of you that perhaps have a Komotec system are able then to do a similar thing if you wanted to change the look of your system. So when we took the under tray off and removed the diffuser parts, we realised, and I've even come up and drawn a diagram here for you, that the back section of the Komotec exhaust, as can be seen in my little diagram here, is removable. So this simply unbolts with a clamp where it attaches just behind the muffler, and you can remove this whole section including the end tips. This turned out to be a really handy feature of the system because it meant it was much easier to work on. So this whole end section has an additional welded plate clamp here, which holds basically the two tubes a set distance apart. Now the problem that we had was that we were moving up from 92mm tips to 103mm tips, which meant there wasn't enough space in between the two tubes in order to accommodate the larger carbon fibre tips. So initially we were going to spread the pipes apart, but that would have meant that you ended up with a funny angle and the pipes would have been coming outwards, and it would only have been subtle, but it wouldn't look great. So instead what we ended up doing was Dan cut through this section here. He then inserted a spacer, a stainless steel spacer, about 20mm it was, I believe, and welded it into position. We then cut through the brace between the two tubes and again added a plate spacer between those tubes, therefore increasing the distance between the tubes and allowing enough space to fit larger tips to each of those tubes. Now originally I was going to have the tips welded on, but we decided actually that it was more sensible to just use the clamps provided that came with these tips, and we clamp them in place. That means of course that in the future, if the tips get a bit scraggy or I change my mind about the design, it's really easy to then unclamp them and fit some new ones. The tips aren't anything particularly high end. They were purchased off of AliExpress, and the total cost was about £80 to £90, including shipping for the pair. They actually make them to your spec, so you can specify the inlet size and also the outer diameter. Really good service, to be honest. I received the tips in about 2 weeks from China, and the quality is really quite good. I mean, I've got a set of like 300 quid-ish Remus tips on my Mini, and there's not a huge difference that I can see. They're made out of genuine stainless steel and carbon fibre, so we'll see how we go. But initially, at least, I'm really pleased with the look of the car. I think they fill out the back end of the car perfectly. I think they're just about spot on size wise, and really help to add that finishing touch to the back end of the vehicle. So that's it. Carbon tips fitted, and that's the end of the video. I'll see you again soon, guys.